All right, the 14th Dalai Lama has affirmed that the 600-year-old institution will continue after him. Ahead of his 90th birthday, the exiled Tibetan spiritual leader Dalai Lama said that his reincarnation will be decided by the Garden for Drunk Trust. The Garden for Drunk Trust is a non-profit organization that was set up by the Dalai Lama, excluding any Chinese role in the reincarnation. He said that the process of recognizing a future Dalai Lama has been clearly established, and the responsibility for doing so will rest exclusively with members of the trust or the office of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. China insists that it has the right to approve the next Dalai Lama, citing historical precedents like the Qing dynasty's involvement. This has led to tensions with fears that Beijing might appoint its own candidate, as seen in the 1995 Panchen Lama dispute. The leader, who turns 90 on the 6th of July, is the 14th reincarnation of the Dalai Lama. According to Tibetan tradition, him and thousands of other Tibetans have lived in exile in India since Chinese troops crushed an uprising in the Tibetan capital Lhasa in 1959. The Dalai Lama said that he took the decision to continue the tradition of the Dalai Lama after consulting the high lamas of the Tibetan Buddhist traditions, the Tibetan public and other concerned people who follow Tibetan Buddhism. Speaking amid the presence of monks in Dharamshala, Himachal Pradesh, he explained members of the Central Tibetan Administration, NGOs, Buddhists from the Himalayan region, Mongolia, Buddhist republics of the Russian Federation and Buddhists in Asia, including mainland China, have written to me with reasons, earnestly requesting that the institution of the Dalai Lama continue. The Tibetan spiritual leader has in the past said that his reincarnation will be born in a free country. The Dalai Lama is believed to be a reincarnation of the Bodhisattva of compassion and is seen as a spiritual guide for Tibetans. The title Dalai Lama combines the Mongolian word Dalai, meaning ocean, and the Tibetan Lama, which means teacher. For more on this, we're now being joined on the phone line by Siddhant Sibal, our Assistant Editor for Foreign Affairs. Siddhant, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, we were discussing what sort of a response China will have to this. We do see that they do, of course, hold that they have some role to play in the decision of the next reincarnation as well. Siddhant, what more can you tell us about the process of finding the next reincarnation of the Dalai Lama?
Well, the 14th Dalai Lama has put in place the process of appointing the next Dalai Lama, and it will be done by a foundation which he has formed, and he clearly stated that there will be no interference by any other authority. That basically means a message to China, because remember, China has been saying that it has a role in appointing the next Dalai Lama. It has been giving some historical precedences, but with the clear-cut statement by His Holiness Dalai Lama, the spiritual leader of Tibetans, it is clear that when it comes to choosing the next Dalai Lama, it will be only the group which has been formed by him will be taking the final decision. Now, we know it has a major geopolitical implication. The Chinese reaction has also arrived. The Chinese saying that they will have a role. So we do expect a reaction now coming from from the side of the Tibetan government in exile, dismissing the Chinese reaction. But this is expected given the fact that how contentious this topic is. We also know that in the past, Dalai Lama has said that the next Dalai Lama, that is the 15th Dalai Lama, he will be appointed in a country which he has said will be free. So clearly ruling out China from that. But today's development is just a first step forward. Do remember that his birthday happens on Sunday, and in that celebration, there will be governments from India and United States represented as well. There will be two union ministers from India, the chief ministers of Arunachal Pradesh and Sikkim, and also representation from the U.S. government as well in Delhi. That day itself, there is a diplomatic event as well where countries have been invited, and presence of these countries will be closely watched by China. So all in all, an important week when it comes to the reincarnation process of Dalai Lama, the spiritual leader of the Tibetans.
Absolutely, Siddhant. That being said, I also wanted to talk about China's involvement a little more to understand and perhaps give a better understanding to our viewers as well. Of course, there have been tensions, there are fears that Beijing might appoint its own candidate. We've seen a precedent like this in the 1995 Panchen Lama dispute as well. That being said, Siddhant, what's your assessment of how that might play out this time around?
Well, essentially, we know that this is something that was expected. It was expected that Dalai Lama will be making an announcement on his reincarnation process, because he had made that announcement in 2011 that when he is about to turn 90, he will make an announcement over his reincarnation process, and that 90th year is this year, and his birthday is just few days away from today. And when it comes to the Chinese reaction as well, it's not a surprise, because China has been claiming that it has a role when it comes to the appointment of the next Dalai Lama. So while both sides have stated their position, it is something that will be closely watched globally as well. My assessment will be that this is going to play out in the next few years, even as we know that Dalai Lama will be essentially talking about his role in the Tibetan community. Remember, India is hosting a large Tibetan refugee community, and they have made India their home as well. In fact, Dalai Lama himself has stated several times that he is a son of India, and of course he will like to spend his days here in India amongst friends. So it's an important geopolitical question, but above all, it's also a question about the Tibetan community.
Absolutely, Siddhant. Well, of course, that remains to be seen. Thank you so much for bringing us the latest on this for now.